Horses are common animals that seemingly can't surprise you with anything. But it's not the case. Among them, you can find creatures with amazing color, of which there are only a couple dozen left. Real giants weighing about 2 tons, and even a horse worth tens of millions of dollars. They're worth a look. In this episode, I'll show you the rarest horses that are born once in 1,000 years, as well as tell you about the most unusual, record-breaking, and just cool horses. Let's go! Let's start with this picture that a subscriber sent me. Here we see a horse, or rather a huge horse. A real giant horse, which is larger than a whole truck, is riding, chained so that it doesn't fall or run away. As for me, this is definitely the biggest and rarest horse on the whole planet. However, there's no official information about it. Do you think a horse can grow to such a size? Maybe such a breed really exists, it's just so rare that almost no one knows about it yet. Anyway, share your thoughts in the comments. But even without this super horse, there are plenty of rare and unique individuals. You'll see it many times today. First up is Gelsino. This is not the name of a particular horse, it's the name of a breed. This breed is unusual because many people consider the Gelsino to be the rarest horse breed at the moment. It's estimated that there are less than 100 purebred Gelsino horses in the world now, and most of them are not able to reproduce. This means that the breed could disappear in the near future. As for the horses themselves, they were bred in Mexico at the beginning of the 16th century, though they got their name from the historical region of Galicia in Spain. These horses are not very big. They weigh about 660 pounds and reach about 4.2 feet in height. But they are very beautiful, well-built, as well as obedient and intelligent. They're easy to train, so they can be trained for any role, from a racehorse to a farm helper. It's hard to find a rarer horse than the Gelsino, but surprisingly there is one. I'm talking about the Camarillo White Horse. It's interesting for 2 reasons. First, its color is considered the rarest in the entire horse world. A purebred Camarillo White Horse is truly white, without any impurities. Secondly, purebred and all-white Camarillo White horses are incredibly rare. Experts believe that there are about 20 of them left in the whole world. There are other Camarillo White horses, but their color contains other shades. Roughly speaking, they're white, but with impurities. Unlike the common white horses that can be found all over the world, true white, purebred Camarillo White horses are white throughout their lives. They're born white and die white. Common white horses, on the other hand, can change colors throughout their lives. The color of the Camarillo White Horse is the result of special genetics. A truly white Camarillo White Horse can be bred, but this carries risks up to and including the death of the foal. And here's the complete opposite, the blackest horse in the world. It's a Frisian horse named Frederick the Great, and he's the only one of his kind. No other horse is as distinctly black. I'd call Frederick the horse that's born every 1,000 years. He's also very handsome. He's considered by many to be the most beautiful horse on the planet. Do you agree with that? Fusaichi Pegasus. Have you ever wondered how much a horse can cost? Actually, it's difficult to answer this question. Many ordinary horses bought for hobby, racing, or farming cost about $3,000 to $4,000. But there's no limit in this respect. How else to explain Fusaichi Pegasus and his insane price? This horse is worth $70 million. Yes, not thousands, but millions. A horse for the price of several luxury mansions. How you like that? The reason for this exorbitant price is that Fusaichi is an excellent horse. Horse racing is a favorite hobby of many rich people who want to get the best horse in their collection. At one time, Fusaichi was such a horse, and the Japanese businessman bought him when he was in great shape. He bought him for $4 million and sold him for $70 million. The horse has grown in price as well as promising soccer players after a good season. Fusaichi has a number of prestigious awards and wins in top races. The horse is alive to this day. He's now 26 and in a well-deserved retirement. By the way, Fusaichi is a thoroughbred horse. You know what's so interesting about these horses? Their insane speed. They're the ones that most often break records for price at various auctions. You bet they do, because they've broken speed records at races and more. These horses were bred in England about 300 years ago. They were bred specifically as DC Comics flashes of the horse world. As a racehorse, the thoroughbred is unrivaled. In 1 minute, these sprinters can run 3,280 feet and not even get tired. Their norm is a gallop at a speed of 38 miles per hour. At longer distances, the thoroughbred horse slightly slows down the pace but still runs like the wind at a speed of 34 miles per hour. As for the record, it was set by a horse called Winning Brew. He accelerated to 43.6 miles per hour, getting into the Guinness Book. It's been 15 years, but no one's broken this record. Belgian Draft. Horses are not only about speed, they're also about power. A strong horse is no less admired than a horse that no one can catch up with, and in this respect, the Belgian Draft stands out the most. This is a Belgian horse breed, which was bred in the late 19th century. At the moment, they are the strongest and most muscular horses in the world. Their size is staggering. The height starts from 5.4 feet, and the weight can reach almost a ton. Until recently, it was among the Belgian draft horses that the largest horse on the planet was. I'm talking about Big Jake. His height was 6.8 feet. The giant passed away 2 years ago. Big Jake was actively used in agriculture, and rightly so. Belgian draft horses, being a real bag of muscles, can be useful on any farm. They can easily carry heavy logs, lift loads that even few people can't handle, and work with plows. A few Belgian draft horses can replace a full-fledged tractor or any other heavy farm equipment, and this is not an exaggeration. These Belgians have a lot of strength. Shire. Perhaps only this breed can compete with Belgian draft horses in terms of strength. British Shires are also very strong and amazing for their ability to pull, drag, and lift anything. But still, they're more famous for something else – their size. They are the largest horses in the world. In terms of height, they're about the same as an adult. As for weight, it's normal for them to weigh about a ton, and that's nowhere near the limit. It's believed that Shires can weigh even up to 4,000 pounds. This is quite a match for a small rhino, a medium-sized hippo, or a massive giraffe. By the way, it's among Shires to look for the all-time record holder. His name was Samson, but he was also known as Mammoth. His height was 7.1 feet, and his weight was just over 3,300 pounds. Those are simply abnormal figures for a horse. What's interesting, among Shires, there are also now living outstanding individuals. For example, a horse named Phantom. This giant grew to 6.4 feet and a couple of years ago amazed everyone in social networks with his size. At the moment, he is not an official record holder, but who knows? Maybe soon he'll take an honorable place in the Guinness Book. Now let's talk about the opposite. What do you think is the smallest horse in the world? Many people will answer that it's the pony. In fact, this is not really a separate breed, but only a subspecies of the domestic horse. Ponies are really small, sometimes reaching only 3 feet in height, but there's someone even smaller. To be more precise, I'm talking about a particular individual named Bomble. Incredibly, this is a full-fledged horse, not a foal or an underdeveloped pony. It is currently the smallest horse in the world. Even the Guinness Book has recognized this. Bomble's height is only 22 inches. Bomble belongs to the Appaloosa breed, which was bred in the United States. In general, the horses of this breed are not so small, to put it mildly. Many Appaloosa horses gain weight of about 1,100 pounds, and their height's good, about 5 feet. But why is Bomble so tiny? Why did he stand out so much among the other Appaloosa horses? This is not fully known. According to Bomble's owners, he was a perfectly normal foal when he was a baby, but at some point he just stopped growing. Maybe it's a mutation, or maybe it's a disease. But there's nothing to worry about. Bomble feels great, and his life is not threatened. Record-breaking size? Check. Speed? Check. Price? Check. What else could make a horse stand out? How about its character? Of course, it all depends a lot on the breed, upbringing, and training. But as a rule, horses are not aggressive. They're not the kind of animals which pounce on everyone and pose a big threat. But there are exceptions. The most aggressive and dangerous horse is considered the Mustang. By the way, do you know what the Mustang is? I think many people think that this is a specific species or horse breed, but this is not quite true. In fact, the Mustang is a feral, domestic, or free-roaming horse. Mustangs are descendant of domestic horses that were brought to the New World by colonists from Europe. Many of the horses brought back then sometimes left people and became feral. Some ran away from pastures, others got their freedom after losing their rider in a fight. This is how Mustangs came to be. They're characterized by endurance, power, speed, and not the most pleasant character. Because of their freedom-loving nature, it's not easy to subdue a Mustang and retame it. The horse is dangerous and can work out its aggressions on humans without hesitation. But if a Mustang is subdued, it will become the most loyal horse imaginable. We've talked about the rarest horses, and next you'll see other rare animals that were caught on camera only once. Mouse deer. In November 2019, scientists were shocked by news from Vietnam. There, near the resort city of Nha Trang, a mouse deer was found. The news came as a shock because at that time this rare species had been considered extinct for more than 30 years. There was no way to capture the animal on camera or even see it, but fortunately, thanks to the camera traps, they managed to do it. As for the animal, in spite of the name, it belongs neither to deer nor to mice. It's just a species of ungulates. Although, why am I saying just? After all, these creatures are unique and considered one of the smallest ungulates on the planet. An adult individual weighs, on average, less than 10 pounds. The species was first described by scientists in 1910 when 4 such ungulates were found in the area of Nha Trang. Animal advocates and researchers have long believed that the tiny creature has completely disappeared due to habitat loss, as well as intensive hunting and illegal trade in wild animals. But now they have hopes that the species can still recover. Walter's duiker. For some reason, ungulates are the ones that are least likely to be caught on camera, and the following animal confirms this once again. The Walter's duiker, also known as Philentomba walteri, was described only in 2010. The species was described, in fact, without its direct involvement. The Walter's duiker was described by comparing specimens from the museum collection with a specimen purchased at a meat market. Scientists knew that this animal measured about 16 inches tall at the shoulder and weighed about 11 pounds. It was also known that Walter's duikers lead a nocturnal lifestyle, hiding from predators in the dense grass. But for a long time, they had no way of photographing this creature. Scientists no longer even expected to encounter the duiker alive, and only in the spring of 2021 were they lucky. They took a picture of the live Walter's duiker in one of the national parks in Togo, Africa. An extremely rare ungulate was caught by a camera trap. Although this is certainly a breakthrough, the situation with these animals leaves much to be desired. Only a few dozen of these animals are currently known, and no one has ever seen them alive in the wild. Scientists hope that the first photo of the live Walter's duiker in the wild will increase the need for further protection of the remaining African forests and savannas. Tasmanian wolf. Still remember the mouse deer from Vietnam that was thought to be extinct for more than 30 years but ended up being filmed? Well, this is not the only such case. It's believed that not too long ago, people managed to capture a Tasmanian wolf. This is the species of Australian carnivorous marsupial that was completely exterminated in the 1930s. It's believed that the last Tasmanian wolf in the wild was exterminated in 1930, and the remaining ones went extinct during the following years. But what if scientists are wrong? How about this footage, for example? It was taken in December 2017. A creature very similar to the extinct marsupial wolf was walking somewhere in the wild and didn't even try to hide from a human, though it ran past them rather quickly. And here is supposedly another Tasmanian wolf filmed at sunset somewhere in Australia. It's filmed from a distance, so it's unreal to see the coloration or anything else detailed. But judging by the outline and gait, it could be a Tasmanian wolf. There are extinct wolves in Japan as well. They're called Hokkaido wolves. Only in contrast to Tasmanian wolves, these creatures belong to the classic genus of wolves and are a subspecies of the gray wolf. Or rather, they were, because as scientists believe, the last Hokkaido wolf was caught and killed back in 1905. But maybe scientists are wrong. In 2018, a camera trap in Japan captured deer running through the woods. Presumably, they were running from a wolf, which howl you can hear if you make the original video louder. Listen for yourself. To me, it sounded like a wolf howling in the wild, but there are no wolves in Japan. So what does that mean? Either Hokkaido wolves are still alive and living somewhere in the backwoods, or some Japanese animal has learned how to howl like wolves. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Dodo. I'm sure you all know about this bird. The dodo lived on the island of Mauritius. The bird was doing very well until 1598 when Dutch sailors came to the island. With the advent of humans, the bird very often became a victim of both hungry sailors and their pets, as well as other species that were imported to the island. The rate of extermination was monstrous, and already in 1662, the Mauritius dodos completely died out. Or not completely? Well, see for yourself. In this footage, taken with some kind of motion sensor camera, we see a lizard crawling in the woods. Suddenly, someone joins it. A bird appears on the left side of the screen, which looks a lot like a dodo. Then the same bird appears on the other side as the lizard approaches the camera. And after a while, the bird passes by the camera. Do you think this is a fake? Or is it a real descendant of the real dodo? And here's another interesting episode. Attentive internet users studied modern photos of Mauritius and found a dodo sitting on a mountain in one of the photos. It does indeed resemble the images of the dodo that have survived to the present day. So maybe the dodo isn't completely extinct after all. Maybe a few descendants of the dodo have indeed survived to this day, and scientists just can't find and redescribe them. Well, that's possible, but that's not what scientists are doing. Their plan is not to wander around Mauritius looking for possible descendants of the dodo. Their plan is to restore the species in general. Yeah, very soon the dodo may be revived, and there will be much more footage and videos of these feathered creatures. The same goes for several other animals, from mammoths and saber-toothed tigers to beautiful pigeons. Keep watching and see and learn all about it. Let's continue the subject of the dodo right away. It's not so important whether these birds remain in the wild or not. In any case, if a couple of dodos are still hanging out somewhere in Mauritius, the population essentially disappeared in 1662. Although it's been quite a few years, not all is lost. For more than 20 years, scientists at Oxford University have been deciphering the bird's genome from dried heads in a local museum collection. Their colleagues from the USA are helping them and even ahead of them. In May 2022, scientists from the University of California made a breakthrough by deciphering the genome of the extinct bird. This is a huge step, which suggests that the dodo could be revived in the near future. For now, the technology is still not very advanced, and a different approach is needed to fully resurrect the dodo, which doesn't yet exist. But the estimates are good. Perhaps in a couple of decades, these birds will resettle in Mauritius and beyond. Mammoth. But of course, many more would like to revive this giant. Mammoth is literally the personification of ancient times and the most famous neighbor of primitive people. However, mammoths are not as old as is commonly believed. The last mammoth died out just 4,000 years ago on the Wrangel Island in Russia. That is, it extinct at a time when the first human civilizations already existed. Basically, mammoths lived in the north, and this is very good. Permafrost has preserved many remains of these giants with trunks on the basis of which scientists may try to revive the population. Some are planning to use genome editing techniques, while others are digging into the DNA and trying to generate mammoths and modern Asian elephants. Given the diversity of the material and the sincere desire of scientists to resurrect mammoths, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years these animals will reappear on our planet. By the way, mammoths are not going to be resurrected for the sake of experiment or fun. These big guys will partially save the world. Scientists plan to repopulate the tundra with mammoths to slow the rate of global warming. Saber-toothed tiger. It's also planned to resurrect these cats, of which many fell in love after seeing Diego in the Ice Age animated movie. By the way, saber-toothed tigers should be called saber-toothed cats, but this isn't the point now. Much more important is the fact that, like mammoths, the remains of many saber-toothed tigers are successfully preserved in the permafrost. These remains are a real treasure trove of DNA, on the basis of which it'll be possible to revive the fearsome predator with sharp, saber-shaped teeth. There's more good news. An embryo of the saber-toothed tiger grown from DNA can be implanted into an ordinary tigress. However, some scientists see an African lioness as a surrogate mother. In any case, these animals can help scientists in the recovery of extinct creatures. The project's ambitious, so it may have a good future. Passenger pigeon. It's amazing how many things can change in a matter of centuries, or even decades. Back in the 18th century, the passenger pigeon was the most numerous bird in North America. There were between 3 and 5 billion of them. And just 150 years later, the last of the entire species, a female named Martha, died. The culprit of the monstrous extermination was human. But we have a chance to set things right. We may only dream of population totaling billions of these birds, but a small population could well be restored. Geneticists plan to recreate the genome of the passenger pigeon by combining DNA fragments from from various samples. In the second stage, they'll insert the genes into the genome of the band-tailed pigeon, the closest modern relative of the extinct species. There, scientists will make them turn into embryonic cells, which will later form the bird's genitals. The next stage will involve introducing the cells into the eggs, which will produce chicks looking like a common or tail-band pigeon, but containing the extinct bird's DNA. It'll remain to cross the hatched birds. Their offspring will have signs of the passenger pigeon. Scientists are happy that they know exactly how to revive the bird. In addition, they have all the materials. Many of them are sure it's the passenger pigeon that will become the first animal in history to come back from the dead. And when it happens, it'll be an incredible sensation and one of the major scientific breakthroughs of all time. That's all, guys. Which extinct animal would you personally like to revive? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.